Hey everyone, welcome to Breakout Wednesday for the 10th of September 2025. It's currently 5 p.m. on the West Coast, 7 p.m. on the East Coast. First of all, remember, this is never financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. This is simply a video blog on how one trader sees the market, and everyone needs to take responsibility for their own decisions. Here is a chart of the All Ords. Still in uptrend. Gold is is so strong. Asian stocks are so strong. There's others, but yeah, they're probably the leaders right now. And still, the Fin stocks are strong, but had a little bit of a sell-off. Like AFG, come back a little bit. What's your Pepper money doing? Yeah, still pretty strong. Anyway, they are the strong sectors. Let's just quickly rattle through some stocks that been talking about. MIN talked about a lot on the forum. Jump in there if you're not already. Some really good discussion, and Poco, Peter calls himself Poco here, had some good, obviously some pretty good analysis there. You read through that yourself. But the big down day today, this trade kind of petered, started okay, drifted up a bit, and then it's still sitting in this Davis box outside of this channel, and then today gapped down. And, but today wasn't really that bad a day in the bigger scheme of things, because it just was a huge flush, right? Like this massive wick, and then rejected lower prices and closed near its high. So I'm still in it. By the time I was doing a kid drop off. By the time I got to this morning, it was flirting down here. I just didn't want to. I just had a feeling it was a flush. So anyway, I'm still in it. But theoretically, I should have been out at open today, but I wasn't. But anyway, we'll see how that unfolds. If I don't like the price action tomorrow, the next day, I'll get out for a loss. It reminds me a bit of this trade that I talked about on Breakout Wednesday for those who were listening back then on CMM. Remember this tight little channel that broke out really well the next day, and then one day, and then on day one, then the next day gapped down, and remember just everyone was panicking, and then it closed near its high and then just rallied. I'm not saying MIN's going to do that. I'm just saying that the stock market is a volatile beast, and it will wreak havoc with your mind and do what you least expect. And got to ride. It's like a surfer's catching that perfect wave. Most of the waves bash them into the ground and near drown them, and then every now and then they catch this absolute perler. And it's kind of similar, Anyway, that is that. I'm going to talk about some other stuff, but had a small win on Oxy, just stopped out at pretty much a few cents above break even, actually. So let's just call it break even. Had kind of a small loss on Woodside. Okay, Wenex div. I'm going to get that div. Hasn't paid yet, and then stopped out. So the money I lost on the trade's a bit larger than the divvy, so chalk that down as a loss. And so it's been one of those markets, right, where things have been going up in some sectors, but there's still been a lot of chop. Just wanted to quickly talk about gold. I posted this to the forum a week or two ago when it was sitting in this massive kind of symmetrical triangle. I got a long-term position in this, so it's fine, but man, I should have obviously traded the shit out of that too, right? I knew this was high probability, but my mind said, oh, you've already owned a lot of gold, just chill out, you don't need to take any more heat on. And maybe that made sense, but the smart business and trading decision would have been to play the odds and to trade it, right? The long-term accounts are relevant, right? I should have divorced the two and done the smart thing and taken the high probability setup, okay? Because it's just done what these setups tend to do, flung out of its symmetrical triangle and stormed upwards, right? Love trading these ETFs when they do that sort of stuff, especially on things like gold, right? So anyway, gold is doing gold things, and it is hell of a lot higher probability trading this sucker, isn't it, than playing around with some of the gold stocks that are hugely volatile based on the individual kind of businesses. That is that. Now, some setups, right? There are so many, guys. I just did a Davis scan before. Just went up, Davis, boom, and just did this really broad Davis scan. That was set at 3. Usually have that set at 7, the top confirmation. Had relative strength. I mean, the relative strength must be above 70, above 200 a day. That found like 223 stocks. I need to filter that down more. But anyway, I scrolled through all of them, and um, there's some interesting things. First of all, like, um, let me just flick to one. EXR came up in a box. This is a little tiddler, but I love these volume. Big volume here, big volume here, big volume here. Storming up here on 3 days of increasing volume. Now it's base in. So just, this isn't ready for me, but if it bases, one sec. But if it can stay in that box and just base a tiny bit longer, then I don't trade those specs much, but I'll be keeping an eye on it. What else was there? Just there's a whole. I've already showed a chart of gold, right? One of my earliest wins in the stock market was this stock that's not around anymore. It's called It used to be called Sino Gold. I'm sure that Peter One and some old members will remember it, but it was like. And there's this other one, Boulder Gold. I think it was BSG or BSX or something. Anyway, I remember there was this huge bull market in gold stocks back in 2003 to 2008 or whatever. And when Frank did this scan on Friday broadcast, and he was like, I'd only been trading for a year or so, and he said his pretty much statement was, it's a gold bull market, and this is a gold stock in a Davis box. And it was very simplistic analysis, but I went for the jugular on it and held tight and let it ride, and I didn't sell quickly, and it was my first massive winner where I stuck with something for ages and then banked it, and it just, those simplistic words are ringing in my head where it's like, this is just this gold bull market. It's been going on for ages, talked about a lot, obviously everyone knows about it, but some of the simple plays and the most obvious plays sometimes are the smartest. And when you do these basic Davis scans, there's still lots of, gold stocks setting up, right? RMS, it's like, I love that to tighten more, right? But it's sitting up there, tightening away in this little box with just complete blue sky above it. Okay, I mean, that's only it's been in that box for 5 days, which is not long enough, right? But if you scroll through these Davis results and you find heaps of them, like WGX is basing in a new box. Here it is, and there's a lot in there, right? And it's just I'm just looking at that and thinking, shit, if I'm going to be trading these breakouts in high tight Davis boxes, it does make sense for them to be gold stocks, right? There's a bunch of other interesting Davis boxes, like SDR, that I love these little inside bars and tighten in, and there's a shitload in that scan, okay? But that's all. I want to quickly talk about, I posted a bit about SSH to the forum. Where is it? Just in this micro and small cap multi-bag thread that someone started, Sally started it, I think, and Craig's been adding to it. And you can read my analysis there in it, right? And I do really love having massive cracks at tiny little liquid companies that I think are undervalued. I do think there's massive edge in it because the big funds and stuff can't play down here. They literally just can't, right? But we can, or small accounts can, or anyone that just likes to bet, you can take a 10, 20, 30 grand bet with this stock. If you're willing to get caught in it. Just because today the volume is pretty high today, they only did $53,000 worth. So you need to realize that if you've got a 30 grand position on that, it might be very hard to get out at short notice. Okay. So I view these as kind of all or nothing bets, right? And this is a monthly chart showing it's a 7-month base. I like kind of some fundamentals on it, and you can read about it. And so my play with this is, I've been building a position, got another tiny parcel of them today, and now I'm sitting tight waiting for a liquidity event a lot higher. Either that or I'm going to get absolutely banged on it, and it's going to be one of those pain in the asses that I need to scale out of over a long time, right? But that's live. It'd be interesting to follow along. Obviously, good day today. I think maybe there were some pro trader members getting in today. I have no idea, but we'll see how this unfolds over, say, the next 6 months, 12 months, something like that, okay? Maybe even longer. It's going to take a lot of patience. And I just, in this Dava scan, this isn't the first time I've found it, but it did come up in this one. And where is it? It's going to come up next. RNT, rent.com.au. It's an interesting stock. I first found it like everything, right? I always find my ideas for kind of the big multi-baggers and the holding the long-term stuff in the scans. I always find them in base scans, Dava scans, that sort of stuff, right? And then if there's something super interesting, I'll dive into it. And this is interesting. It's sitting in a nice Davis box. It's got blue sky above it, and it's rent.com.au. And like you go to its website. Okay, let's just go to it. All right, and obviously you type in whatever suburb you want, and you can find rentals there. So obviously it's in the space of realestate.com.au and all that sort of stuff. You can type in your suburb, and I'm sure you'll find a bunch of rentals. And so it just seems to me like, from a simplistic point of view, that it's a sort of business that if they can get their shit together, then it's going to get bought out, and it's got massive potential. So I'm going to do a massive deep dive into it over the next week or two, over the weekends and late at night, into its fundamentals. I'm going to read all its latest reports, all its cash positions, blah, blah, blah. And then I might post my findings to the forum, good or bad. I'll post them in there. Hopefully this does not break out before I've had a chance to dive deep. But I think like everyone wants to find a 100-bagger, okay? Something that, they can put 10 grand in and turn it into a fortune, okay? And 1 in a million people can do it. I've never had a 100-bagger. I've had a few 10-baggers. I've had a 15-bagger, but yeah, I've never had a 100-bagger. I don't ever have the resilience to get to 100 bags. I mean, that's massive. But there are people out there that have done it, and you only need 100 bag in your life to be ridiculously wealthy from a small amount of money. And it all starts like, I mean, I'm not experienced in 100 baggers, as I just said, but I do believe that even 2 bags and 3 bags, which have had a plenty of shit, even my zero position, right, that I've been talking about for ages, was up at well over 100% before it started dipping recently. ResMed, right? I'm up 4 bags on ResMed if you look at the early stuff. So it's like, it's totally possible, not just in super cheap stocks, but a lot of the a lot of the more expensive ones too, right? Things can go up so high when you get them right. It just takes so much perseverance and resilience to not sell them when you've doubled your money, or even when you're up 20%. But anyway, it all starts for me, for what it's worth, from just a nice scan, a nice chart. Okay, I never want to invest in something that looks like shit and is trending down, looks like it's going to go broke. This is not trending down, does not look like it's about to go broke. It's got some nice volume in there, it's going up, it's in a nice space. So I'm going to dive deep into that, and I just thought it was interesting to just crap a little bit on about SSH and RNT and that sort of stuff, because it is really, really good fun once you start diving deep into that world and analysing it from a longer term perspective. And just remembering, like, read some of Buffett's earlier books, right, and interviews where he talks about when he was starting out as a younger guy, and he used to just play around in really illiquid companies. And, he's said on numerous occasions that if he was still playing around in the small caps, he could easily make 50% a year, every single year, and just compound it. But his problem is that he's got billions and billions and billions to invest, and he can't play around in the little liquid companies. It is interesting, that he has that strong opinion, and they're definitely, I think, if you're willing to do the hard work, is probably a lot more edge. Shit, I need to go pick a kid up. That's why my alarm's going off. But there's a lot more edge in the smaller end of town, because you're not competing against the really smart fund managers out there who are jostling around and wreaking havoc in some of the more liquid names. And even the bots aren't in the smaller caps. They need liquidity too, right? So you're dealing with more raw fundamentals, and you've probably got a lot more edge. Anyway, crapped on too much. I need to get the hell out of here. Take care. Chat next week. Bye bye.